Hey everyone, welcome back to another Community Sessions episode of Eye on Icon. Today we have a wide panel of people from the Icon ecosystem that we have hosted as a community chat and recorded so that anyone who couldn't make it can actually listen to it now. There's a lot of great insights from talking through market sentiment, how the teams keep focused, to updates on a balanced OMM and the new CPS proposal that is going to be one of the first gaming dApps to launch on the ICE blockchain. GPS Gaming, the guys come on and answer some questions and give a bit more context on what they're building. So definitely another great session, and as always, these are going to be a regular event. So if you're listening to this and think, oh, I can ask a ton of questions here but can't attend, please tag me and ask and send some comments to myself, Icongrapher, Donnie, and we will collate that information and start asking the relevant team. So without any more yammering, just take a listen to the session.
Today we have Scott, we have Dakey, we've got Parrot9, we've also got Gio and Polo from GPS Gaming, who are going to talk through their new proposal for a new dApp on the new chain, which is exciting as well. So, but I thought today, given again we've had a bit of a turbulent market, I thought it would be really cool to, because I often, Scott, see you tweet, especially when the market becomes extremely volatile. You really come out with these tweets and say, focus on building, nothing's changed. So I thought, could we go around the table because we have various teams here? Could you talk through what the atmosphere, does it change the atmosphere amongst your teams at the moment when the market reacts not in the most positive way? What's the mood amongst the team, and how do you all cope with these kind of changes in the market sentiment? Scott, I'll throw it to you first, then we'll go around.
All right, yeah, that works. Yeah, I mean, I think it's I'd be lying if I said it didn't affect the atmosphere. I mean, of course, we kind of talk about it, and everyone's theories about why the market downturn is coming, and trying to keep everyone in good spirits, and just kind of shooting. It's a good opportunity to kind of just shoot the shit and talk about the market and think about the direction and kind of get everyone's opinion. It's probably when we have the most discussion on market forces and what's driving Bitcoin prices and things like that, and just kind of checking in with everyone, trying to making sure everyone's doing all right, and that we can just keep plugging away.
Well, I guess too in the context of balance, it also potentially impacts the actual operations of the protocol as well, in terms of, especially I guess it's a good way to test if the liquidation process is working at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely every time this happens, I wake up and I'll message one of our developers and say, hey, did anyone get liquidated today? And or I could just check Brian Lee's Twitter and know exactly what's going on.
It's a thing you don't want to wake up to, though, Scott, isn't it? Yes, you want to know if the feature's working, but you just do not want to know of it. Hope it doesn't happen. But
I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one on this call that wakes up every morning wondering, maybe with a mild pit in the stomach, what the market is going to hold for you today. So.
No, agree. What about Lisa, Peter? How about you?
Well, we've been through the 2017 bear market, so I guess we've developed a bit of an iron stomach for that in a way. But yeah, it has still affected things. We're in the process of trying to hire people, and there's nothing worse than when the prices are going down and you're about to get contracts signed, and it's like, we don't know how much runway we have for you right
we've
now.
We've got a year, and hopefully we've got more for you next year, but we'll see how we go.
Fair enough. Dakey, what about you?
I think just echoing what others were saying, I think just personally, obviously not a great feeling, but it is what it is. Just gotta keep building. One thing I guess I do think a lot about these days is whether these market conditions impact the launch of a new project, I guess, for OMM specifically. So considering like volatile market conditions, does it make sense to wait out a little bit for market to become more stable, or kind of just launch regardless? I think is something we're internally just kind of brainstorming right now.
It's good. I'll follow up with some questions when we have the start talking all things home. Great, thanks, Doki. What about Geo? How about you? How are those 1 minute candles looking?
I gave that up a while ago. That was driving me too crazy, and so yeah, I just at this point, I actually focus on, again, like what everyone was saying, is building. I mean, obviously everyone knows we've got a ton of stuff coming out for Icon Bet, and we have this new proposal for Supernode Racing. We have a lot of stuff we've been talking about with other teams as well for some possible DeFi collaborations. So I mean, it's true, just build. You build it and they will come, right? I mean, that's the saying.
Yep. Agreed. Look, that's great. Thanks. Just wanted to do that quick roundtable. We have a few more on the session, so just want to quickly shout out to everyone. If you want to speak up, this is not about me, an iconographer, drilling everyone or asking questions. If you have questions, you just have to throw your hand up, hit the microphone, and I'll give you some airtime and you can ask away. What I was thinking we'll do, just like last time, maybe we'll go through the team so that the conversation is a bit more structured. So we'll kick off with balance, then we'll move off to OMM, and then we'll close it out with Supernode Racing. I'm sure lots of questions around the gas stations are going to be thrown at Geo, so he's kind of excited about it. So at any point in any section anyone wants to speak up, just hit the microphone and I'll let you ask your questions. Great. Okay, well, let's go to balanced. I'll throw it at Scott, but Parrot9, Lisa, Peter, step in. Any question you feel you want to answer. I don't have much planned, so it's very much unscripted. From my point of view, I thought, Scott, since last week, have you got any updates you want to share on how some of the updates are progressing? Any news around the balance protocol itself?
Yeah, I mean, just echoing what we posted on Twitter recently, that our geometry upgrade coming June 26th with the network fee vote, then leading to the impending distribution, assuming it passes, transaction history, charts, statistics page. Really excited for that release. And I guess the one other thing I could mention is that we're trying out different ways of communicating with the community. As we consistently monitor and gather feedback from of people's needs and interests. And I think one thing we're going to start doing is like around the first of each month, we'll be releasing kind of like a update report, if you will. That's going to be fairly structured. That just shows what we did and what we accomplished the previous month, and what our goals are for the upcoming month. And that includes, any new additions to any of the teams, UI UX improvements, our goals for upgrading the smart contracts and stuff like that. So just a little bit more insight for the community into what our current priorities are, and then we can kind of adjust our communication policy as needed depending on feedback of that. So I am excited to release our first progress report at the beginning of next month.
That is cool. So in that report, you'll also talk about everything that's being worked on for the next, like you just highlighted. That's great. I think personally, I would love that. I'm sure the community will as well. That's great news.
Right. Yeah, and then I think that combined with these types of things should be enough. There should be a solid amount of external communication.
Yeah, agree. I guess Peter, Lisa, anything keeping you all up at night from a UI perspective?
For Peter, recently, I guess it's been the governance design. I've been working on that recently, so we're planning to get that kind of in a good state for releasing at the end of next month is kind of a goal for some of the early governance stuff. This release that we're doing for geometry is just going to be for the network fee vote, but we're planning to have more governance options the following month. So just been working on some designs for that and planning to share them with the team today. So yeah, that's kind of been our main thing at the moment.
Cool. Throwing out to the community, anyone? Oh, Daiki, I saw you want to have a say. Did you? No. Okay, just then.
Yeah, I don't think
go
so.
ahead.
No, I'm good.
Okay, cool. Throwing out to the community, anyone wants to ask any questions to Scott about balance?
I got a question. Recently Tony released, I guess he leaked a photo of what balance could look like in the future. Now that we have Daiki and Scott here, maybe we could talk about how real is that photo, and is that what it's going to look like, and what can we look forward to?
That one that came out was actually one of our really early designs, so I'm not sure how that got surfaced anywhere. It still had
Wait, was that the one that Tony released? I thought, yeah, I don't think ICD is the one that Tony released. I think what you're. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I've only seen one surfacing recently. I'm not sure which one Tony shared, but yeah, the one that I've seen surface recently was a very old one.
There was an old prototype that showed ICD, I remember, which was the original ticker of BNUSD. But Donnie, the one, are you talking about where there was the drop-down menu with different pools and OM was on there? Is that what you're talking about, or?
Yeah, that's the one that I got kind of excited when I saw that one. It had OM too.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So that's just that was the testnet version to allow people to practice depositing OM in liquidity pools, and so I mean that is in the near future, whenever OM launches.
Very nice. All right.
Any other questions, I guess, before we move on from balance?
I'm good on questions. I don't know if anybody else does.
Nope. No one's got their hand up. Okay, well, let's we'll come back to you, Scott. Don't worry. I'm going to throw in some
That's fine.
other questions, but okay, let's talk balance now. So Daiki, how's I know we're on testnet. How's feedback been coming through for people that are using the testnet version? What's it been like? What are you hearing?
Yeah, I think the feedback has been great. A lot of folks have been asking for testnet tokens. I think testnet 96 faucet went out of balance several times over the weekend. So I think there's quite a lot of interest, which I really appreciate. And it's good to see that the community is really excited to test out the product. Also been getting a lot of good feedback on just the testnet product itself. But aside from that, I think some of the community members have been bringing up some of the good practices that they've seen with other DeFi projects. So I think it's been overall really helpful. Something I've realized after talking to some of these folks are that I think there are a few select members who seem to be a bit more knowledgeable in the DeFi space, but I also noticed that a lot of the folks within the Icon community are not as much, I guess, knowledgeable about what's happening in the DeFi space. So I'm thinking maybe some sort of initiative to educate Icon community members about what happens in the DeFi space in general, how things work. I think it's going to be helpful. I don't know what form it will take, but that's something a community member has brought up.
Yep, I think that's a great idea. I think a lot of Iconists, I have also picked up their first dabbling in DeFi is on Icon itself. So
there is a 10-part series on DeFi floating around on Medium somewhere for anyone who wants to find it.
I've heard of this. A great writer indeed. That is a great one, Daiki, actually, to share with the community. I personally got a lot of insights from it as well. It gives a great overview and tackles many different use cases. So, Daiki, in terms of, I was hoping you could share some of the conversations. Obviously, when we have a new partner, how are we going on that front, and how is that relationship with the new partner? Was it a blessing in disguise in a way that we got this new partner that enables us to do a lot more, or has it worked out kind of same?
Well, we'll see. They haven't launched yet, so they're still in development. So we'll see once they launch. I hope it is kind of working out better for us in the longer term. So the new partner that we're working with is Stably, as you guys could have probably seen from the testnet token. So they're a startup based in Seattle. They also have a team in Vietnam where they're basically primarily making stable coins across different networks. They already have a stable coin on Tezos and Stellar, and Icon will be the third one. So I think hopefully they will be able to, kind of build out the USDS and Icon network, and then make it usable to the Iconist. I think though, like in the back end though, they are still working with a trust, so there are some limitations and like the user experience, which you need to kind of figure out over longer term. But at least like kind of excited to kind of get to that first step with this new partner, Stably.
Yeah, cool. Okay, excellent. Now, Yusuf, sorry, I noticed we did have someone requesting a question. Apologies, I didn't hit, but if you'd like to ask a question, you're free to.
No, I think he just cleared the thing I was going to ask.
Okay, cool. No worries. Okay, so Daiki, then just on the OMM front, is there any? So we've touched off when beta testing. Now, can you talk about what your comments you just made earlier? So, given market has shifted, is this something that is now open, as in discussions are going on in terms of postponing the launch, or what exactly? What's happening there?
Yeah, so it's still early in the discussion. So I think we have a timeline, obviously, pending on the launch of this stablecoin on Icon Network through our partner Stably. So we do have a timeline, but just seeing a lot of projects across in the DeFi space also losing momentum somewhat lately. And I've noticed that some projects are taking a bit of different approach, whether that's like, not starting with token generations upfront, for example, or making tokens not tradable initially, etc. So basically, like a lot of the new projects are playing with different ideas to see what makes sense, and we're trying to kind of look into that to see if any of these options make sense for OM as well, basically.
Okay, fair enough. That will be interesting to see where we land. Hopefully, personally, I don't wish it to be delayed. I think it'll create a whole new value stream, especially when we can create some way of generating interest apart from ICX staking. The current stable coins on Icon can earn some interest. Will be good to onboard or get more eyes on us. So fingers crossed. But I know market sentiment. It really messes with people's minds. It messes with my mind, I can tell you that. So, and I've also been through the 2017 crash. So, just piles up. Okay, cool. I think back to open forum. Anyone, and it's not just me. Anyone else have any questions for Daiki? Oh, just a quiet session. Okay. Donnie.
Hey, Daiki. It's me, Donnie. How are you? If you can, I know that the market conditions are not the best right now, but is there any way you can go over your potential strategies for like having users come to OM and use the product? Is there an airdrip? What are the incentives? Only if you can discuss it. I understand if you can't, but like, what's going to be OM's strategy to get users on board?
Well, I think the primary strategy should be, and again, like these governance tokens, in my opinion, are just additional incentives in the end, right? I think the driver should be like the use case of the protocol itself, which, in my opinion, like basically it provides an opportunity for ICX holders to leverage their ICX and basically make their ICX more productive by using it as collateral and then borrow stable coins against it. So I think that's kind of the primary, and I think as I think I've mentioned it before, but the primary distinction from balance is that like balance, I think it's probably more better fit for a longer term. People who want to borrow like stable coins for a longer term. I think on own, because there is like more of a variable interest rate. People want to borrow it for a shorter term may seek for OM instead of balance. So I think that should be the primary, the driver of like what drives people in the end. Like I don't think my perspective has really changed on that. I think we can do like things here and there with OM tokens to boost these I guess growth and adoption. But I still think the primary driver should be like what the money market does is letting people borrow and lend assets. And right now, I think that should be useful for a lot of I6 community members.
I guess my follow-up question to that was like Balance had some support, I believe, from, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but it had support from some VCs and had some funding come in. A buzz was generated through promotion. Is there any concern? And I mean, I don't mean this in a negative way at all, but the small amount of DeFi users within the Icon system ecosystem, is it going to create any concerns that they might be tied up on Balanced, or they'll have to remove liquidity from Balance and assets from Balance to come over to OM, or can they use Balance and OM together simultaneously?
I mean, I think you can definitely use OM and Balance together. Basically, I think OM liquidity pairs are going to be on Balance, so you can utilize both Balance and OM basically by earning OM tokens and then providing liquidity on Balance. So that's I think you're definitely utilizing both protocols by doing that. Yeah.
And then also at some point once BNUSD is more stabilized and stuff, you could borrow BNUSD from Balanced at a fixed interest rate and then lend it on OM. And at some point that becomes kind of you generate some net interest margin there depending on what the rates are on OM.
Yeah, that's great. And just on one of the things Donnie mentioned, so Scott, how has the airdrop gone? I think no one's really questioned that. How have we felt? Because again, the idea of the airdrop was really about trying to create a bit of eyeballs coming to hit the site that traditionally wouldn't look, just those people who just hold a coin to see the number go up. But the airdrop was to kind of go, okay, if you actually come and click claim, you'll see what Balanced is and then hopefully explore it. How has that gone? How have you felt about it?
Yeah, I'd say I have kind of a mixed review overall. When it was first announced, it definitely generated a lot of buzz in the community and was talked about a lot, which was nice. And we have over 10,200 Balanced token holders right now, which I do think is in part due to the airdrop, but it's kind of hard to say because we have around 2,500 users or 2,500 borrowers, and around 4,000 liquidity providers across all the pools. So that doesn't add up to the 10,000 Balanced token holders. So I do think we're getting more token holders and getting more eyes on the project that way. But I guess it's kind of hard to say. We also did make sure that it was shared on YouTube influencers and Twitter influencers, so that the word got out there. But I was hoping for kind of a bigger impact. But it is kind of hard to gauge which members of the Balanced community. Maybe we could just do it would be interesting to do just a simple poll on Twitter and Telegram to see what percentage of our community first heard or used Balanced because of the airdrop. Would be just good data to have.
So I guess then on that, and I think Donnie touched on this, Dakey, is there plans to kind of implement an airdrop for OMM as well, or are we just using that as Balanced and trying something different with the OMM? Lisa, forgive me.
I think it's still TBD. Obviously up in the air. I would say it's an option we're considering, but that's something we're actively communicating with our community members internally as well. I think the tricky part is making it balanced, right? How do you make sure you basically reward the active users the most, but also at the same time, get enough buzz going so that there is interest within the I6 community as well. So I think finding that right balance is important, and then I think there's been a lot of good community discussions happening. I think in the Discord chat. So if you're interested, I think you should just join Discord and then participate in the chat.
Yep, no, that's great. I think just looking at and just speaking out loud here, one of the things I've noticed similarly, Terra, they're doing, when they launch a new protocol, they're doing this airdrop. They've gone with the old traditional term. but from that, what spawned, I've noticed, is some community members have gone and created one particular site where it actually aggregates all the airdrops that are being done part of their protocols, that they've launched, Anchor and Mirror. Now, me, who has just been exploring spaces, as you'd like to stay informed, have stumbled on this, and I've learned a lot of the different protocols that are being built because it's housed on the one page. So that was, I took away thinking I would not have learned of half of this stuff had I not come to this airdrop claim page that showed all the different projects that are part of, the ecosystem that would be participating in this kind of a program. So interesting opportunities. Dakey, you're right. I am going to jump on I am on Discord, but I will jump on further and hound you a bit more. Obviously, I haven't been hounding you enough. Cool. Okay. Any questions from anyone for Dakey about OMM? Otherwise, we'll move off to next section. No one's made any requests.
I just wanted to
Yes.
I think the what's it called? The page for all the airdrops makes sense once if we have more projects doing it. Right now, having it's just balanced. So
Yeah.
if Dakey if OMM does it, if Equality does it, if Optimus does it, then we'll have 4 projects there. I think it starts to make sense at that point, and other people going forward.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Okay. So our next one, this is the one we did have a question from the community, and I'll ask it later. But Gio, do you want to just give a quick rundown about this exciting new project you got? You're bringing not about gas. Let's start from the top, just in case everyone hasn't heard of what the project is you're gonna be talking about. Yeah, what is it? What are you going to be building on the ice chain, not on Icon, on ice?
Correct. And actually, I got a question for Scott. Actually, Scott, is it going to be called Ice Network, Ice Blockchain, Ice Chain? What is it going to be called?
Just ice.
Just ice.
No, I don't know. I just call it ice.
That didn't help, but okay.
It depends what domain names are available.
It's like seal or share.
Just needs one name. Okay. Well, anyways, so what we're actually going to be building is a racing NFT game called Supernode Racing. I don't know how many people are familiar with games on Ethereum. There's one called F1 Delta Time, I believe it's called F1 Delta Time, and it's not really a racing game as much as it is just an NFT game where you own F1 cars and you can get parts for it, and they actually have the drivers and stuff that you can own as well as NFTs. But you don't actually race really in the game. You kind of do a countdown clock or a trial clock, and that's about it. You don't really see a vehicle racing or anything. We're like, well, I watched it. I watched some YouTube videos. I'm like, I like the old racing games on PlayStation, all that kind of stuff, and Dirt, and all the games where you're actually like, driving your car and stuff. Now, we're not going to allow you to drive your car, but you will actually see visually your car racing against other people's cars. And that's where, it kind of, you have that fun of, okay, I want to build up my car for, a specific kind of track. So you can build it for street racing, you can build it for drag racing, you can build it for dirt racing. We'll probably even have Formula One racing tracks kind of thing with all the turns where you need really good tires and whatnot. And then you actually get to watch your cars race in real time against the other people, either that you're racing against in terms of like a bet, or racing in terms of like a tournament or a championship, or even just a time trial where you can race against, the time. But you'll actually see your vehicle race around the track, and it will actually be based, you won't actually know the results before, usually on blockchain, especially with people that know Icon Bet, where the result is known when you press bet, right? And then it does the animation, and then it will show you the result. But technically, if you have something like metrics, you actually know if you've won ICX or not. Well, that's not going to happen here. In fact, it's going to be periodic checkpoints around the track that will be, the results based, how well your car does, and through the next checkpoint will be based upon, the equipment on your car, and then a randomization effect, just so that if cars have the same exact equipment, it's not guaranteed that one will win or the other. So there will be some luck involved with everything. But yeah, it's all about building up your race cars, getting the best parts for them, racing against your friends, and I won't go into the whole gas station thing again because we could talk
But what about
forever.
And I think one of the components I really liked was you talked about engaging with other chains. How are you planning on doing that?
So it's not about engaging with the other chains. We actually are. It's about engaging with people outside of crypto, and that's where our one of our big, and actually I brought it up at the very end of the podcast because I was too excited about gas stations, that we actually are going to make this a mobile application. And so it will be available on the App Store, on Android Play, or on Google Play, on any Android store, and you'll actually be able to purchase with in-game purchases like you would any other game you can download from the app stores, and that currency will then be connected to the ICE chain. So it's kind of a way a little bit of circumventing these restrictions on crypto. People don't like crypto and all that kind of stuff. So we're saying, okay, well then we're not going to do crypto. Instead, you're now just using in-game currency, which they don't seem to mind, which technically they're both the exact same thing, right? It's all virtual currencies, but they don't like one over the other. So needless to say, but that's the thing, is we're going to target general audiences. The people who go to the App Store and download, the people who go to Google Play and download, they won't even have to know that they have crypto in the back end. And that's kind of the beauty of it all. It's kind of engaging the general public rather than just crypto people, or even just ICE or Icon people.
Cool. And with the mobile component, is that Geo, is that part of the proposal, the current build, or is that going to be another phase where
it's going to be built on Unity to start, and Unity can do mobile as well, so it's all part of the original proposal.
Okay, cool.
Is that going to be free to play to begin with, and then as they upgrade their cars, they have to pay for the parts?
So we do have the option. We will have a free option for like a tier 1 vehicle, so that way you can get a car. And what you can actually do is you can do the other thing that we have is when you race your cars, you have to have gas for them, right? There has to be, a car runs on gas. So that is our super token, and we call it Supreme Gas Token or Super Token. And you can actually earn those by doing social activities, retweeting, tweeting, connecting your Facebook, connecting your Twitter, all the kind of things that you would see on like, those contests that say, hey, you can get entries by doing all these social things. That's going to be part of what you can do to earn Supreme Gas without having to pay for it.
Nice. I guess going on how you can earn things, I'm not sure what the interconnected is going to be like, but is there a chance, like, to drive transactions on Icon and you're like, you know what, if you do XYZ on balance, you get some balanced tires. Or if you get do XYZ on OMM, you get OMM suspension. You know what I mean? That's these special perks. Or if you stake on the ICE blockchain, like 10,000 ICE or whatever, or ICX, you'll get something, just to drive the usage of the chains,
I mean, yeah, we'll have to discuss. I mean, that's really cool. I didn't even think about that. What we were going to do is allow the dApps and PREPs in general to create content or to sponsor content for the game. So you could literally have instead of Goodyear tires, you'd have balanced tires, like you were saying, kind of thing. And that would be either a decal or an actual part that you could acquire within the crates, the randomized crates. So I mean, that was something we're considering, but that's an interesting idea. We'll have to definitely talk about it. It's definitely more complex of a system to consider. Actually having people interact with these other dApps because then that would rely on kind of either, I don't know, the person reporting their wallet, which then our application can look up to see if they did what they said. Yeah, it would definitely be complex. It would either require that or the application they interacted with to report that activity. So, there's one of two things we can possibly look at in that regard. But yeah, I mean, I like that. It's engagement in the community as well. So that's really cool.
Yeah, in today's podcast, you mentioned Project Nebula, and I was like, it would be so cool, like to find a car on some random planet or like win a ship with a race car, winning a race, But obviously, that's more intricate and more difficult.
Tesla on Mars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that kind of stuff. Obviously that would be connectivity between dApps and really it would have to be organized between the dApp owners and be worked on that because we'd have to create content, we'd have to have art created and all that kind of stuff as well for that kind of stuff.
Cool. I mean, I listened to the podcast today and I was like, I heard, I'm a gamer as well, so like I just heard you guys speak. You guys were so passionate about the gas stations, and I was like, I wonder if there's gonna be like mechanic shops and sponsors and different kind of NFTs that like people can engage. And you did say it was gonna be like a real economy, right? So, it'll be fun to see what it evolves into.
Yeah. So part of the thing we didn't really talk because it was kind of just an announcement. I know we could have talked for hours on Fez's podcast. But you will have a garage, and the garage has to be, it'll have tiers as well, and you have to level up your garage in order to level up, to be able to, install certain tiers of equipment on your vehicles. So it's all about like it's a game. It's a gamification. It's all about interacting with the game as often as you can. And again, we want to connect this whole social aspect of it where people will be able to earn super gas and then go and sell their super gas to gas stations for real money just by socially engaging with our application. So
nice. All right,
cool.
If anyone else has any questions? Yeah.
So I did have Sam on Twitter has asked a question. I just I should have followed through with him and gotten clarity, so I'm going to ask it. Will there be racing opportunities with other cars with the same amount of dollar inputted into the car to race for extra gas or other prizes?
So yes, you can literally say, "Hey, I want to race you for your," and I mean, we'll see what we can limit it to, but hey, I'm all for the pink slip. Hey, you want to race for, you want to take car for car and see who takes each other's cars. That's up to you guys. So I don't see any reason to necessarily limit anyone on what they want to wager, for a race, really.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's great.
And yes, there will be where you can specifically put, oh, you can only have up to tier 3 or whatever kind of equipment, so that way you're coming with the same vehicle that and or the better way to do it would be even when you make the wager and accept the wager, those NFTs and the parts are locked in for that race. In other words, you can't change them beforehand. You can't cheat and change a part before a race and say, oh, I didn't know we weren't allowed to do that. So you would have the vehicles, approved by both parties before the race even happens.
Great. Cool. Any questions for Geo around this project? So I understand, Geo, it is currently sitting in the forums as a proposal for anyone to go in and add comments and review all the details and project milestones, etc.
Correct. Yes, it will be pushed into the CPS platform during the application period of this application period. I personally and actually Paulo as well. We're not dealing. We're helping the CPS platform, with ideas and discussing it with the creators and stuff. We're trying to get the stable coin, and they're working really hard on that as well, to make it, a more stable system so that we don't have to, keep requesting ICX or someone gets, like say we request our 100,000 ICX and get approved, and then ICX goes to $10 within 2 months, right? Now we do promise to pay back anything more than our USD value that we achieve, but that's the kind of system we're trying to get to be the stable coin, so that way you get what you ask for, kind of thing.
Yep, that's good. Donnie, you're gonna ask something?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, like for those who say, how do we make like how do you ensure the game is fair? Is it like random? Like, are we going to have like an oracle or something checking that no one's cheating? Like, how do you make sure that our users are protected and that they feel safe, like placing wagers, you know?
Well, I mean, there's no real way to cheat. The system, you know, when you race, it will allow, you know, you'll have stipulations in place, like you can only use up to tier 3 equipment on your vehicle. You can only do this or that, you know, and you won't be able to bypass those systems. And so it's the randomness is not done by the player; it's done by the server. So there won't be any injection from the player except for the equipment on their vehicle. And then that's the stats that will be taken into the randomness, you know, when it randomizes the next checkpoint or whatever. So it's really nothing to do with the player, and the player doesn't control anything other than what vehicle and parts he is going to race.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think while we're here as well. Oh, sorry, Donnie, go ahead.
No, I just had, you know, one unrelated question about poker, but we can say that for the end, to be honest.
I was going to circle back around poker.
I got to go now. I got to really get out of here.
So I think while we're talking about, because obviously this is going to be built on ice, I'm going to throw a question at Scott, a surprise question. So we know of the one-to-one for icon holders, ICX, and then you get ICE. Is there any information around the tokenomics or even TPS, given it's a side chain and side chains have progressed considerably since, you know, when Icon had launched its chain? Have we got TPS speed, any kind of information around the chain itself?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a Substrate SDK chain, so every existing Substrate network is comparable. You can look at I guess for anyone who doesn't know, like the way that the Polkadot ecosystem works, they have a relay chain, which has no features at all. The only thing it can do is process blocks and send tokens. And then a parachain is like a feature specific chain, and parachains are built using the Substrate SDK. So that's how kind of that all works, and we're building a Substrate SDK network. So it's going to be comparable to all these other networks like Akala, Edgeware, Moonbeam, Plasm. Edgeware has been up and running for a while as a solo chain, which means it doesn't leverage the relay chain's consensus in any way. So that's like the most comparable to ICE, but everyone's going to have kind of their own customization aspects of it. But the core TPS and everything like that should be comparable. I don't see why there'd be much of a difference there. Cool. And if there's not, and if anyone makes any upgrades to the Substrate SDK, like this is one of the parts that I'm really excited about, is like, you know, you have Substrate, Parity, Polkadot, all of these development groups trying to make the Substrate SDK better, and then ICE can just adopt those upgrades. So if they ever make any substantial increases to TPS or consensus mechanisms or anything like that, we can easily kind of just upgrade the ICE network to the most recent specifications.
Yeah, that's great. And just calling on that, we actually had Tom Ivy, the last episode that dropped for Iron Icon, and given I didn't know much about Polkadot, I'll admit, you know, just interviewing him live, I learnt so much, and he explained stuff in great detail, and even talked through about why the Edgeware chain itself is unique, as it's not dependent on getting a slot with Polkadot, etc. They can still operate on their own, and which is really cool and very insightful. So, okay, so it's very similar to that. So I can already connect a few dots in my mind at the moment. Okay, thanks, Scott. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
And while you got some airtime, Scott, from a foundations perspective, I know we've seen a series of. I'm going to be honest here. I have actually watched quite a bit of the Reimagine. I've watched your interview. I am almost done with Min's interview. I took a lot away from Min's interview. It was great to hear him actually talk about some of the challenges from the government aspect that everyone faces in terms of adoption. I actually found it insightful that it was saying that we are still getting adopted. However, obviously, with rules and regulations, it takes time and it has to be tested before it gets adopted even further. But from your point, I know we've been hiring. He mentioned we've hired now marketing members in Korea and in the American office. Any updates on that front? Any further clarity you could give us?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly sure what Min said, but like you said, we've made new hires. One of them on this call. TJ, great to have him. And still looking to expand the core team and continue to grow, regardless of market sentiment. We have our goals. We have a clear vision into through the end of this year into next year. And yeah, I mean, I think I'll just let the new hires take actions that'll speak for themselves.
Sounds good. I did notice TJ on the call. I was gonna get him up to talk about any CPS related updates. Feel free to hit your microphone, TJ. I'll put you on the spot. If he doesn't, circling back, Gio, I think the hot topic. Oh wait, I do actually. Gio, you'll have to wait. TJ has requested the stage.
We're gonna ask about gas stations.
We are. Don't worry, buddy. We're coming there. TJ.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Hello. So TJ, you've come on board. You've taken over product manager for CPS. We have recorded an episode. It will air this week. But since you're here, how's your adventures been with the foundation so far? Tell everyone.
It's been awesome. I think definitely with the market kind of acting strangely too, it's added a little bit of a twist to my first month. But just in general, it's been nice to shadow people like Scott and Dakey in their calls and kind of see how it is to interact with like your developer team or other blockchains in general. So I think it's been a great learning experience in general, and being able to be a part of something like CPS right away has been kind of a good, I guess, test for me.
Cool. And okay. Anything else, TJ? I think we've got 5 minutes left, so I'm just keeping an eye on time. And I did want to hound Gio about poker. I think Donnie raised a great question. But anything else, TJ? You want to any cool things? Something? Any CPS news you wanted to drop? Surprise anyone with? Man, I really do fish for exclusives. Sorry, Gio, you were dead right.
Yeah, no, I think there's still a couple things that we'll be finalizing in terms of the CPS, but we did kind of come up with kind of the main idea of what we want to do in terms of a stablecoin treasury. So basically, we'll be doing in small random increments. We'll be converting ICX to BNUSD on the balanced DEX. So and that pool has enough volume where we figured that it won't make too big of a price impact on ICX itself, and we plan to cap it at a certain amount, something like 500,000 BNUSD. And once that cap is reached, the treasury will continue to accumulate ICX until it also hits a cap and then is burned like it was supposed to be. And basically that just allows for projects on the CPS to request funds in USD. So basically they'll be receiving BNUSD. So that just helps in general for the developer teams that want more of a stable payment and don't have to worry about the price of ICX, it being so volatile right now.
Cool. No, that's great. Thanks, TJ. So everyone listening currently, projects get paid in ICX, but obviously with price fluctuations, pricing projects becomes difficult. So adding a stable coin to the mix really helps plan the project's plan and fund better. So it's great to see an improvement that's needed on that front. Cool. Thank you, TJ. And just swinging back around, Gio, tell us about poker. I know everyone's just close this off with a poker update. How are we going?
So we should have it. I say should because there's just little tiny bugs that we keep finding, but should have it back into public testing this week. My developer actually just, I've talked with him every day, but he just told me today that he's like, I will get it done today, or tomorrow at the latest. So, and what's really cool is that we actually have, it's not only like a lot of bug fixes, a lot of server optimization, a lot of, refactoring that had to happen because a lot of stuff was built quickly. So it's like, okay, well, we don't want to build something that's going to cause us problems in the future, trying to figure out if anything goes wrong. So he refactored a lot of stuff to make it easier for, him and future, developers on it. But what's really cool is that we actually have a new face for it. We got a logo, we got, new avatars, which are really, really sick. So it's going to be a lot of new stuff that people haven't seen when they, if they were testing it beforehand. So yeah, we're really excited to get this back into the people's hands.
That's great, Gio. That's a good update. Okay, I think getting close. Just again, roundtable. Anyone has anything to ask? Please, it is an open forum. I will say this. Today, everyone's kind of who joined has stayed on for the entire session, so it still does feel like there was a lot of valuable conversation happening in here, so we didn't see people dropping out. That's what I'm hoping. Please do leave comments and stuff in. Oh, wait, we got a request. I can shut up. Jack, okay.
So I have a question for the balance team, which is at some point in the future, will there be an option to see everything that's been rebalanced? Mostly I'm asking for taxes.
That's a good question. I mean, that data is all available, but you would need some sort of support to make that happen. You need some sort of developer experience to make that happen. The entire month you can see, but not total. I'm sure we could work something out there. Yeah, that's something I can note down for a future feature. It's not like certainly not impossible, and the data will always be there. So we could add that. That's a good suggestion. Thank you.
It could even be part of our transaction history that we have for each user as well, so they can easily keep track of it there.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we are thinking. Yeah, exactly. So.
And that is where the audio cuts out. There was only 1 minute left, I believe, after that, so you didn't miss out on much, but everything was covered in the recording and you heard it exactly as it played out. Thank you, Jack, for stepping up and asking a question as well. That was great to see, and I hope to see many more sessions where the community steps up and starts asking what they want to ask about. So once again, thank you, and we will look to host this session again at the same time next week, and give everyone a bit more notice so that they can get in questions and who we're going to actually have on the panel, so that you can do a bit of prep on what you want to hear about as well. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, share this around. This is live straight from the builders to the community, and this is exactly what every Iconist has been asking for. So ensure you are sharing it and keeping up to date with what's being discussed. Take care, everyone.